For as long as video games have existed, developers have been hiding some pretty weird stuff inside them. And we love them for it. Secrets and Easter eggs have a special place in the hearts of gamers everywhere. So from hilarious hidden gags to terrifying images I wish were never found, let's deep dive through the levels of the video game secrets iceberg, all the way into the obscure, murky depths of the unknown. Layer 1. Barking up the wrong tree. 2001's Silent Hill 2 is one of the most iconic horror experiences of all time. Its atmosphere of unending dread and horrifying monsters made Little Amazed wet the bed on more than one occasion. But despite all that terror, it's the game's strange sense of humor that's on the agenda today. See, the game has multiple endings depending on the choices the player makes. They're pretty much all super depressing with one exception, this one. Yep, a secret ending only unlockable through some supremely convoluted steps reveals that a little doggo was responsible for engineering all your suffering after all. How could she do this to us? A beautiful prank. Nowadays, it's no secret that there were 151 original Pokemon, but that wasn't always the case. The 151st Mew was at one point an urban legend. You see, once development of the original game's 1996's Red and Green was completed, programmer Shigeki Morimoto decided to play a little prank. There was just enough space left on the game cartridge for one more creature. Going completely against protocol and without the permission of higher-ups, Morimoto and some colleagues snuck Mew into the game code. It was supposed to be impossible to actually locate Mew in the game. It was just an inside joke. But the games were notoriously buggy, and due to a glitch, some players wound up encountering the secret monster anyway. Rumors about the Pocket Monster's existence spread like wildfire, forcing Nintendo to officially reveal the little dude. The mystery surrounding Mew and the frenzy around obtaining one are often credited by Nintendo with kickstarting Pokemon's rise to the top. Screw Pikachu, Mew should be the real mascot. While we're at it, why can't I be the mascot of YouTube? If you'd like to help with that and also make sure you never miss out on another great video, why not leave a like and subscribe? All finished? Perfect. Deeper we go then. Getting ahead. Doom. id Software's violent extravaganza is responsible for pretty much every major first-person shooter you enjoy today. The second game, 1994's Doom 2, also happens to feature one of the most iconic Easter eggs ever put to disc. When players enter the arena of the final boss, the Icon of Sin, they're greeted with this chilling voice. Excuse me? See, the icon is basically just a face texture on a wall with what seems to be an exposed brain for you to blast. But some players decided to use a cheat code to clip their way through the brain, and they discovered that the Icon of Sin was actually this. What you're looking at is the severed head of id Software co-founder John Romero. The story goes that another founder, John Carmack, had placed the head there as a joke at his colleague's expense. When Romero found out, he loved it and recorded a message for the final boss. If we reverse what we hear when we first enter the arena,
"To win the game, you must kill me, John Romero."
Damn sneaky. Either Romero's colleagues loved him enough to immortalize him or hated him enough to blow him up every day in the game. Fallout fun. The massive game worlds of the Fallout RPGs are jam-packed with Easter eggs and references. Many of these come in the forms of skeleton tableaus. See, Fallout is a post-apocalyptic game, and human remains can be found everywhere. Some truly depressing scenes, like a couple embracing in bed, can be found in the wasteland, but then the next moment you'll stumble on something like this. What the heck's happening here? Why is one of them naked? My personal favorite can be found in the 2010 release Fallout New Vegas. A fridge just outside Good Springs contains a skeleton and brown hat. This is a reference to a controversial scene in 2008's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull where Indy somehow survives an atomic bomb by hiding in a fridge. Guess it's clear what the devs thought of that scene. It's not just skeletons that inhabit the world of Fallout though. You'll also find a whole host of teddy bears. Yeah, teddy bears. They can be found doing anything from playing baseball and performing surgery to, well, this. Teddies in Fallout are swell. Have you found any crazy skeletons or teddy bears in a Fallout game? Let me know down in those comments below. Don't shoot the water. The all-time classic Resident Evil 4 features a notorious boss fight with a huge water monster named Del Lago. Players who boot up the 2005 horror shooter will see the beast that lurks within the lake before the fight is actually due to happen. So what happens if they decide to try and lure the thing out early? That happens. Resi 4 got an absolutely dynamite remake in 2023 though. Did they keep the Easter egg? Damn right they did. Just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water. Liar, liar. The Elder Scrolls series is, like its brother Fallout, filled to the brim with secrets. Perhaps the most iconic is a quirky cat man named M'aiq the Liar. M'aiq first appeared in 2002's Morrowind and has reared his head in every entry since. But who is he? At first glance, just a strange NPC that spouts random nonsense when interacted with. However, it only seems like random nonsense. Turns out M'aiq actually makes comments on the Elder Scrolls series as a whole in response to fan criticisms or complaints. For example, many players wanted to use crossbows in 2006's Oblivion. M'aiq's opinion?
Some people want special bows that take too long to load and need special arrows called bolts. M'aiq thinks they are idiots.
Okay. And other players even wondered why was there no nudity in the game.
It is good the people wear clothing. M'aiq wears clothing. Who would want to see M'aiq naked? Sick, sick people. Very sad.
They call him a liar, but he's just being honest. Finally, 2011 Skyrim added the ability to dual-wield weapons. However, when doing so, the player is unable to block for some reason. Over to M'aiq.
Don't try blocking if you have two weapons. You will only get confused. Much better to hit twice anyway.
And that's just a fraction of his potential dialogue. Whoever came up with this guy is one cool cat. Jar Jar's Jam. In 2008's Star Wars The Force Unleashed, players will find themselves in a trophy room on Kashyyyk, home of the Wookiees. Inside, they can discover nods to various creatures from the movies, such as a trio of beasties from the arena in Episode 2. Pretty cool, sure, but the main draw is a figure trapped inside carbonite in the corner of the room. Nope, it's not Han Solo. That's notorious loser Jar Jar Binks. Ha! At least now we know what happened to him after the prequel trilogy. A horror hangout. Being a zombie game, Dead Island is no stranger to the world of spooks and scares, but this 2011 action title included an encounter with one ghoul in particular that players might recognize. Just off the main highway over the overpass camp, you'll find a path leading up to a strange shack. Here, a hulking figure known only as Jason can be found tearing into any nearby zombies with a machete. This is a clear homage to the Friday the 13th franchise and its machete-wielding antagonist Jason Voorhees. With a staggering 7 times the amount of damage as a normal enemy and significantly more health, Jason is a force to be reckoned with. And even if a player does manage to defeat him, he'll respawn shortly after. A nod to the fact that the guy is essentially immortal in his movies. If you do decide to try and take him on though, you're rewarded with a powerful chainsaw, so it's definitely worth it, if you can brave it. Classic capers. It's impossible to overstate the impact the OG Doom games from the 90s had on pop culture. Luckily, when Doom received a reboot in 2016, id Software didn't forget. In each level of the game, a secret lever can be found. Pulling it plays a little jingle. And unlocks a door to a classic Doom map. Once found, players can fight their way through the whole thing in retro style, albeit with modern guns and bad guys. Sure, the levels can be a little janky. The new demons aren't built for the old level geometry and can sometimes get stuck, but the effort alone is worthy of praise. And with that, it's time to go a little deeper. Layer 2. Say cheese! Back in 1998, Nintendo released a weird little peripheral for the Game Boy Camera. It does exactly what it says on the box, allowing players to take low-quality grayscale photos and edit them in silly ways. But that's not all it does. It also features some minigames and comes with an RPG-style interface. Strangely, there's a run option available. Pressing it brings up this screen. Pretty normal Game Boy nonsense, but if you keep choosing the option, well, there's a chance something majorly creepy could happen. What the hell? Imagine stumbling on this alone at night as a kid. Talk about childhood trauma. The faces are randomly selected and don't always pop up, which makes them even more disturbing. What's worse, we have no idea who any of these people are. They're probably just developers having fun with the camera game they'd made. But they might be evil witches who've haunted your Game Boy. Either works. Dead Space's Dead Mate. 2008's Dead Space and its 2023 remake feature a neat little Easter egg that foreshadows the game's biggest twist. Spoilers ahead. See, the horror sci-fi adventure follows protagonist Isaac Clarke desperately searching for his missing wife during a nightmarish alien infestation on a spaceship. At the end, we discover that Nicole's said wife has been sleeping with the fishes the entire time. Isaac was merely hallucinating her. Crikey. But what's the Easter egg? Well, if we take a look at the 12 chapter names and take the first letter of each name, it spells out Nicole is dead. Well, great. Now you tell me. The Gordo Ghost. If you've ever played a Grand Theft Auto game, you know that these open world titles are full of secret goodies to discover. In 2013's immensely popular GTA 5, Mount Gordo is home to one of the creepiest. Close to the peak, there's a rock with the word Jack written on it in blood. If the player arrives here between 11 p.m. and midnight, they're in for a scare. Floating before them will be a ghost, a female spirit with a wide open mouth staring at the player in silence. But who's Jack? And who's she? Turns out this is the ghost of one Jolene Cranley Evans. An article in the in-game Sonora Beach newspaper tells a story of how her husband, Jack Cranley, was suspected of pushing her off the mountain but was released from custody on insufficient evidence. That's right, the stuntman turned politician from the game's story. Jeez, you think you know somebody. Did I scare you? 2017's Doki Doki Literature Club is itself one big surprise. It masquerades as a cutesy dating sim, but as you play it gradually descends into a super disturbing horror game. But there's one particular surprise in the game designed specifically to troll content creators. See, the game breaks the fourth wall into tiny pieces and throws them at you. One of the girls, Monica, is a sentient AI program that falls obsessively in love with you, the player. Not you in the game though, you in real life. Near the end of the game, you become trapped in a void with only this demonic anime girl to talk to. But remember, she's an AI. She'll know if you're using any kind of recording software. If you are, after acknowledging your recording and not being best pleased about it, this will happen. Did you scare me? No. Creepy crafting. I doubt I need to explain to anybody what Minecraft is. This blocky behemoth is one of the biggest games in the world. What I do need to explain is its dark side. Yep, rumors have circulated on the web for over a decade about a mysterious, uninvited entity appearing in single-player Minecraft worlds. The figure appears as a default skin with white, sinister eyes, and you might catch him silently watching you from afar. This is Herobrine, supposedly the departed soul of developer Notch's brother who's taken to haunting his game in block form. Creepy, right? But I'm gonna go ahead and burst your bubble here with a mini Buzzkill Man appearance. Herobrine was never real. It was just a creepypasta story that developed a life of its own and took hold of the community. All those supposed sightings, edits by fans, just keeping the myth alive. And the development team have been having fun with it too. Every so often when updating the game and detailing the changes, they'll randomly throw in a line that they removed Herobrine. Ha! This is just a joke, of course. He was never in the game to begin with. Or was he? Another way. Ubisoft's Far Cry series is a wacky open-world shoot-'em-up known for its combat and lush environments, but starting with 2014's Far Cry 4, it became known for something else. At the start of the game, the player character arrives in the fictional country of Kyrat to return his mother's ashes before getting caught up in a civil war. Standard, you wind up sat at a dinner table with the antagonist, a dictator called Pagan Min. After a short, antagonizing conversation, he quickly departs, leaving the player to escape and begin the game in earnest. But what if the player waits for Pagan to return? Well, after 15 minutes, he'll pop back, thank the player for waiting, reveal some plot twists, and then allow them to peacefully leave their mother's ashes. Roll credits. If anyone got that ending on their first playthrough, I can only imagine the disappointment. Far Cry's alternate ending Easter eggs have since become a staple of the mainline entries. Both 5 and 6 continue the trend, and I'm sure the inevitable 7 will as well. Maybe next time it'll all be a dream. Nothing to see here. 2004's GTA San Andreas and its not-so-definitive 2021 edition have a pretty hilarious little Easter egg that you can find if you jetpack up to the top of the middle spire on Gant Bridge. The irony certainly isn't lost on me here. Beast from the Deep. If you suffer from a fear of giant sharks, aka common sense, you might want to look away. The Battlefield franchise is a military shooter that is usually known for playing things pretty straight. So imagine the surprise of players when they discovered a freaking megalodon lurking in the waters of 2013's Battlefield 4. No, seriously. After the developers dropped multiple hints about said shark, gamers got to work and figured out that if 10 people approach a specific buoy on the map, Nansha Strike, this happens. Jeez, that's terrifying. The Megalodon is an extinct mega shark that vanished around 3.6 million years ago. Though if you're an avid Battlefield fan, you'd be forgiven for thinking otherwise. The series' 2016 entry, Battlefield 1, also features a Megalodon, this time in the trenches of the First World War. Oof, what a way to go. All jokes aside, we don't really know the reason behind these Easter eggs other than them being the perfect combo of awesome and terrifying, which I guess is as good a reason as any. The end. Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid is a wacky series that constantly plays with audience expectations. No better is this exemplified than in 2004's Metal Gear Solid 3 boss fight with The End. Scary name, sure, but he's actually just an old man with incredible aim. He's so old, in fact, that he looks about ready to pop his clogs any second now. Okay, I'm exaggerating. He's actually got around a week left. Seriously. Any player that saves the game during the fight and returns to play 8 days later is in for a surprise. A special cutscene plays showing protagonist Naked Snake sneaking up on The End.
Drop your weapon. Drop your weapon.
That's right, he's clogged it. In true Kojima fashion, this little secret completely challenges what we expect from a video game. I wonder what Snake was up to while you were gone, though. A peppering of pop culture. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past year, I'm sure you know that Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the biggest games around. Released in 2023, it instantly gained fame as one of the greatest RPGs ever created. But we don't care about that. It's the weird little Easter eggs we want. The game is filled to the brim with pop culture references. Simpsons fans might recognize the names of these two crawling hands over in Rivington, Itchy and Scratchy. And over in the Blighted Village, players can stumble on this particularly upset-looking book, The Necromancy of Thay. The book is a clear reference to the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead movies, a dark magic book responsible for all the nastiness of the franchise. Maybe best not to read this one. Finally, behind the bar in the Waning Moon Tavern, a weird baseball bat can be found filled with nails called the Rat Bat. It seems to be a nod to the sitcom It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The character Charlie has a special rat-busting baseball bat that looks super similar to the in-game weapon. Neat. Now, if I keep listing Baldur's Gate 3 references, we'll be here all day, so I need to leave it there. What are your favorite Easter eggs from the game? Let me know down in the comments. A demon slayer like you. When 2011 Skyrim released, one recurring line of dialogue from the town guards instantly became a meme.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
The sheer absurdity of every guard spouting this one-liner made it super memorable. But it isn't just fans that had some fun with the arrow in the knee meme, developers did too. In fact, id Software decided to immortalize the joke inside 2016's Doom reboot. In the Kedengear Sanctum level, this slumped-over body can be found with both an arrow in the knee and Skyrim's iconic iron helmet. More memes in video games, please. Lair 3. Radical. Like its rival Battlefield, Call of Duty is no stranger to bizarre Easter eggs. In Modern Warfare, no, not that one, the 2019 reboot, a little surprise awaits on the Cheshire Park multiplayer map. The player must hunt down and destroy 5 hidden mousetraps, then an entire wheel of cheese. Afterwards, they can head to a statue of the Pied Piper in the middle of the map. Placing the cheese there causes something pretty funky to happen. What? For those not in the know, the Pied Piper is a character from German folklore who lured rats away from the town of Hamelin with his magic pipe. When the town refused to pay him, he lured their kids away instead. Pretty dark, but cool reference, though I don't remember the rat spontaneously combusting in the story. Peeping Tom. Look out, big boy Kojima is back to fill his games with weird nonsense. In 2019's Death Stranding, players can enter a private room to rest and recuperate. While inside, they no longer control the protagonist Sam. Instead, they control the camera and explore the room he's chilling in. You can even, if you're so inclined, stare at Sam, and he'll react. There are a whole heap of reactions he can have, but the most notable is if the player decides to stare at Sam's, well. Ow, okay, I totally deserve that. Halo there, freaks. When you think of the iconic Halo games, what do you think of? I'm willing to bet none of you said Dead-Eyed Monkey Men, but I did. You see, in 2007's Halo 3, a strange group of gross ape people can be found tucked away on a cliffside on the first level of the game. They don't do anything, they don't even blink, they just stare. You can't destroy them either. Creepy. Another of the strange hybrids can be found hidden elsewhere in the level too, but that's not all. During the epilogue cutscene of 2009's Halo 3 ODST, the player can move the camera all the way over to the left to find... what the hell are these things? Well, many fans claim they're designed to resemble Halo art director Marcus Leto as some kind of weird in-joke. There's no confirmation this is the case, but what do you think? Is there a resemblance? Sound off in the comments. The Crypt Keeper. In Mortal Kombat's 2011 reboot, the player can explore an area known as the Crypt. Here, they can spend their in-game currency to unlock goodies like concept art. The Crypt has appeared in loads of entries in the MK saga, but this particular one is infamous amongst fans. Why? Because at any time, for no apparent reason, the player can find themselves attacked by a hideous monster. Jeez, what's wrong with these developers? Scared and annoyed, players took to the internet back when the game first came out to try and find a way to get rid of the Crypt monster, but the only thing that works is muting your TV and covering your eyes. Like a little baby. Man. I know you. Red Dead Redemption is a hell of a good game, but it's also a sad story that's not very rootin' or tootin' at all. In the first game, you play as John Marston, an outlaw turned family man who just wants to leave his past behind. But the past manages to catch up to him. At various points while playing, you'll bump into a mysterious figure in a black suit and top hat known only as the Strange Man. He somehow knows all about John's past and casually implies in conversation that he's either the Reaper or the Devil. Okay. Aside from this, you learn practically nothing else about him. Until that is in 2018's prequel. A spooky old shack can be found in the middle of the wilderness in the Lemoyne region of the map, and if visited at different points throughout the game, a solitary painting will slowly be added to, as well as cryptic writing appearing on the walls. If visited in the game's epilogue, when the player character is switched to John, the painting will be completed. It's the Strange Man. But that's not all. There, can you see it? In the mirror behind John is the man himself. Only he'll vanish as soon as you turn away. Sheesh. Goosebumps. Is the Strange Man really death or even Satan? We might never know. The heart of the city. The Liberty City of 2008's GTA 4 is a colossal sandbox filled with secrets. It's a clear parody of New York City, complete with its own version of the Statue of Liberty called the Statue of Happiness. This creepy thing has what appears to be U.S. politician Hillary Clinton's face. Why? Because she's been an outspoken critic of the Grand Theft Auto franchise. Cheeky. But it's what's inside the statue that we're most interested in. A sign outside the base reads, "No hidden content this way," so obviously you'll ignore it and head inside. Once you do, climbing a ladder reveals a colossal beating heart chained in place. Get it? The heart of the city? I don't know, it's just creepy to me. Doomed. When Doom launched in 1993, it instantly became top dog, and that meant everybody else wanted to take it down a peg. In 1997, Duke Nukem 3D arrived, a competing first-person shooter that, frankly, borrows a lot from Doom. But the game still threw some shade. In the Death Row level, a secret area can be located that hides this.
That's one doomed space marine.
Get it? Doomed Space Marine? This is Doom Guy, protagonist of the Doom games, and he's clearly had a bad day. It's okay, big man. Duke's never getting another good game again. Weird Wesker. While he doesn't physically appear in either the OG Resident Evil 2 from 1998 or the remake from 2019, antagonist Albert Wesker's presence is still felt. In some places, a little too much. See, if the player heads to the STARS offices of the police station, which is the unit Wesker led, they can find his desk. By interacting with it a grand total of 50 times, you'll obtain a mysterious roll of film. After taking it to the darkroom and developing it, you'll discover a super weird photo of STARS member Rebecca Chambers, and yes, the Easter egg returns in the remake. Why the hell did Wesker have this? On the one hand, it's hilarious that the genocidal megalomaniac was in possession of the cutesy basketball snap, but on the other, majorly creepy. I don't want to know how he got it. Not so warm welcome. 2004's Doom 3 is a pretty immersive game. It does its best to draw you into the world so that when the horror hits, it really hits. But outside of the violence and the scares, the intro of the game hides one of the most hilarious secrets in gaming. Basically, your character gets himself checked in at reception on the Mars base and is sent on his merry way. But if the player decides to loiter, they can take a peek at what the receptionist is typing on his computer. Man, been here for like 5 minutes and already making enemies. Save it for the demons, dude. How rude. There's a ridiculous amount to see in Fallout 3's Capital Wasteland. It must have been really tough for developers to keep on top of it all. So we can forgive them for forgetting to program one measly door properly. I'm sure they'd come up with an elegant solution to a problem like that, right? Yeah, you can probably tell what this says, and I'm not kidding. This cheeky Easter egg is the result of devs realizing that a door they'd implemented wasn't actually programmed to lead anywhere. So instead of, removing it or something, they came up with this. Thanks, guys. Layer 4. The Dopefish lives. If you're a child of the 90s, there's every chance you know who this next guy is. The Dopefish. Anyone that doesn't, let me explain. A doofy little character that first appeared in 1991 in the classic Commander Keen series, this cute yet stupid fish became beloved amongst a certain generation of gamers. Because of this, game developers have been secretly adding him into their video games ever since, like the original 1996 Quake, where he can be found in the Well of Wishes. And if you ever got freaked out by this horrific sight in 2020's Doom Eternal, now you know why. He actually shows up in a whole load of places in that game, looking incredibly unsettling in HD. The 2018 retro shooter Dusk also features Dopey in a hilarious jump scare. But we'd be here all night if we looked at every Dopefish sighting in gaming, so I'll have to leave it there for now. Shirtless Spidey. Insomniac's 2018 Spider-Man game for the PS4 features a myriad of references to other alternate Spider-Men from the comic books. Spider-Man 2099, the Scarlet Spider, and even Nakey Spidey. Wait, what? Never heard of that one.
Hey, look at us! The Spider Bros! Check out my moves!
Turns out this particular variant doesn't originate from the pages of a comic book, but from real life. Video game journalist Greg Miller campaigned for months for the inclusion of his own creation, Shirtless Spider-Man, to appear in the PlayStation title. Needless to say, he got his wish.
Ladies and gentlemen, I, Shirtless Spider-Man, am indeed in Spider-Man on PlayStation 4.
Godspeed, Shirtless Spider-Man. Godspeed. A fixer-upper. When players first launch 2014's The Sims 4, they're likely to choose a cheaper property. After all, smart to start small, right? One of the cheapest options in the game is Apartment 1313 on Chic Street. At first, it seems like an absolute steal. Well, turns out there's a reason for that. If the player removes the carpet to replace it, they'll see this, a chalk outline. Turns out the property was the site of a heinous crime. In this economy, I'd still take it. Moo Moo Madness. In the early days of action RPG Diablo, a rumor spread like wildfire about a super secret level hidden within the fantasy dungeon crawler, the Cow level. Yep, purely due to speculation and word of mouth, a huge number of players came to believe that a hidden bovine-themed area existed in the 1996 title. According to them, clicking a trio of cows in the game's hub town the right number of times would open up the secret level. But, spoilers, there was no cow level. It was all smoking movers. That is, until the release of the sequel, Diablo 2. Developer Blizzard must have gotten a real kick out of those rumors, because when they dropped the next entry in the series in 2000, they included a real cow level. Filled with bipedal cows holding spears and even a cow king to lead them, the secret stage is everything that the rumored original was supposed to be. Utterly amusing. Easter Within. Tango Gameworks' The Evil Within series is debatably one of the best modern examples of survival horror. It's also got my personal favorite Easter egg of all time. Near the start of the second game from 2017, protagonist Sebastian runs into O'Neill, a friendly NPC held up in a safe house. Later in the game, while preparing to face Stefano, one of the central antagonists, the player can make the long trek back to chat with O'Neill. Now, they have no reason to. O'Neill never offers much help, and it's super time-consuming to make the journey, but it's definitely worth the effort.
Sebastian, what are you doing here?
I'm in the middle of some serious right now, O'Neill. I could use some help out there.
No way.
Are you kidding? Do you know how long it took me to come back here to talk to you about this?
You could have just called, you know.
Are you coming with me or not?
I told you I wasn't going to leave this place. It's f***ing evil out there.
That may be, but there's evil within, too.
10 out of 10. A terrible pun and a fourth wall break? I should be taking notes. BTPT. The private rooms in Death Stranding are filled with Easter eggs, secrets, and references. Some of them occur at random, meaning that players could finish an entire playthrough without ever seeing them. In this case, that may not be such a bad thing. When waking up after a nap, there's a chance that you might not be alone. That's a massive no. But morbid curiosity will get the better of you and you'll want to take a closer look. Admit it, that one got you despite the warning, huh? Yes, it was all just a nightmare after all. It seems like this is a reference to PT, Kojima's incredible survival horror teaser, which also featured Norman Reedus as the player character. Specifically, it references the terrifying ghost Lisa, who spasms just like the shadow in the shower. It's fine, I didn't want to sleep tonight anyway. Layer 5. Cranky Commentator. Wave Race Blue Storm is a radical water sports racer from the Nintendo GameCube era. Released way back in 2001, by the time 2010 rolled around, folks assumed there were no secrets left to unearth from the classic game. I'm sure you've already guessed, they were wrong. That year, NeoGAF forum user Raul Duke posted a secret cheat code he'd found that drastically changes the tone of the game. This is the way the game's announcer sounds normally. And after applying the code.
Is that the best you could do? Weak. No mercy. Adequate. Got a lot of good ones.
That's right, a highly secret Easter egg discovered nearly a decade after launch, and all it does is make the announcer a jerk. Oh, and it changes the sound when you get a turbo boost. Now it's what sounds like a little girl saying, meow. I can't decide if this is really cool or really lame. A secret weapon. The Just Cause series is known for its massive open worlds filled with bombastic action and over-the-top weaponry. Some weapons, however, are far more over-the-top than others. In 2018's Just Cause 4, players can locate a secret weapon, the Cow Gun. Man, what is it with Easter eggs and cows? If you go north of Los Romeros in Vivanes, you'll find it casually lying on the porch of a farmhouse. And it does exactly what you think it does. Turns people or the player into cows. Absolutely amazing. But what happens if you use the weapon on a real cow? They turn into people. Specifically one person, Sebastian Di Ravello, antagonist of Just Cause 3. What a perfect tableau this is. Definitely the point that my mom would walk in. The back rooms. If you've spent any amount of time on the internet, you've almost certainly heard of the back rooms. The story goes that it's possible to fall out of reality and land in the terrifying backrooms dimension. The thing is, you don't expect to see it popping up in serious video game shooters. Well, the developers of FPS Trip Bang 2 knew this and used it to their full advantage. In the mission Site 83, you can actually wander a short spooky section of the back rooms. But that's not the Easter egg. No, many players that tried no-clipping around the game to explore it found they accidentally phased straight into the sinister setting and became trapped in the sickly yellow halls. Only this isn't some short referential section. It's a vast labyrinth maze completely absent from the main game. Attempting to quit brings up this text box referencing the original meme and only offering you the choice to accept or accept. So yeah, you're literally trapped unless you can find the way out. Thankfully there is one in the form of a dev testing room which you can then finally quit out from, but it's no easy task to get there. As cool as this is one Easter egg that's just a little too spooky for me. Scooby-Doomed. Speaking of spooks, next up is the ancient Scooby-Doo flash game Escape from the Coulsonian. Released in 2004 to tie in with the movie Monsters Unleashed, it was a pretty standard point-and-click adventure game for kids where players solve puzzles in a haunted museum. But why are we talking about it? Buckle up. There's a sarcophagus in the middle of a room in the second level which the player is encouraged to pry open with a crowbar. When they do, they're greeted with this. I think I just peed a little. That's a seriously intense jump scare for a kid's game. Not only that, but the faded text in the darkness encourages the player to lean closer to read it just to make sure that they suffer enough. Truly evil. They're only noodles. 2015's Soma is an intense psychological horror game that questions what it means to be human. So, we're wading into murky waters here. In one particular section, protagonist Simon enters a dream sequence where he sees his love interest Ashley stood facing away from him. They have a brief chat, then the player is flung back into the horror. But why won't Ashley turn around? Well, if we enter a console command to control the camera freely, we can move it over and see what's going on. Nah, of course, her face is made entirely of worms. I'd want to avoid people seeing me too. In all seriousness, this is damn creepy. It's actually a holdover from an earlier build of the game that never made the cut. The devs just kept the model and left its back turned. I bet they were hoping players would try this and get a scare though. Well, congrats guys, you got me. Love hurts. We've seen plenty of scary Easter eggs today, but now it's time to take out the tissues. When Marvel's Spider-Man was in development for the PS4, a fan named Tyler Schultz contacted developer Insomniac with a request. He was planning on proposing to his girlfriend and wanted to enlist their help. The dev agreed to place his marriage proposal inside the game world of Spidey, and so the game released in 2018 with this cute secret on a theater marquee. Aww, only it was never used. In a somber video Tyler took to YouTube to report that his girlfriend Maddie had left him several weeks prior to date his brother. I can't think of much worse. But wait, in another twist, Maddie responded denying the accusation. She'd split up with him, yes, but not for his brother. And she wasn't even a Spider-Man fan herself, so didn't want to be proposed to in that way in the first place. Man, this is all kinds of messy. All drama aside though, it's still a super sad secret that remains in the game today. On that particularly somber note, I think it's time to return to the surface. Have you ever discovered any of these Easter eggs? Do you have any faves that didn't make the video? Let me know in those comments and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.